Welcome to Unraveled Mind. My name is Antonio, I'm a certified professional coach, and I'm here with you today to talk to you about my magnetic analogy to fear. Stay tuned and let's play. Before we start, I think it might be interesting just to quickly just ask ourselves, so what is fear? It's because fear is something that we all experience. We all know what fear is instinctively, and it's something that's been hardwired in our genetics to be afraid of snakes, to be afraid of spiders, of things that can kill us. And in the end, that's what fear tends to be. In the end, fear is a reaction to something that we expect will bring us pain. And so there is no way around fear. We all, as human beings, will have fear because pain is part of living. So I know that sounds very, very depressing and very pessimistic at the start of the video, but it's just a reality. Even if it's just stabbing your toe on the coffee table or just falling down from your bike like I did last week, pain is part of life. So fear is just us trying to minimize this pain and trying to stay away from things that might cause this pain. May it be physical pain, like the things that I described, things that can hurt you, or emotional pain, which nowadays I would argue that it's probably the most common fear, at least in developed societies. We are no longer afraid of the jaguar in the jungle or the spider, unless you live in Australia, then of course everything is trying to kill you there. But most people are not afraid of things that can cause physical harm to them, most of the time. But we all have fears when it comes to putting ourselves in situations where we can experience emotional pain. That's why public speaking is such it ranks so high on people's fear list, is because this idea of embarrassing yourself in front of other people, that causes a lot of pain, of being seen as a failure or in an embarrassing situation. And those fears are very real and they affect us, and everyone has them, not towards the same exact things. There are people that are very afraid of public speaking. There's people that are they associate pleasure to public speaking. So these are not hard rules, and these fears they appeared from your past experiences. They also are influenced by your personality, by your psychology. But we are not going to be looking at the origins of your fears. That can be something that I discuss in another video. Today I just wanted to create this baseline reference of what fear is, so we understand the rest of what I'm trying to explain. But the main point is everyone has fears, and they're highly personalized to you. Of course, there's common fears that are shared amongst many people, but as I said, there's people that really don't like public speaking, and they would rather die than go on stage and talk on front of a lot of people. And there's people that find that pleasurable, and they actually put themselves in those situations to do it because they associate pleasure. So there's nothing completely within us that says that's something that causes pain and we should be afraid of, and that's something that's not. This comes, a lot of it comes from us and our past experiences. But with that idea, that's also why when we ask people, so what do you want in life? Well, what is it that if you had won the lottery, and this is something that I ask people I work with very often. Hey, imagine that you won millions of dollars. What would you do? And most of them, of course, they would say, I want to go on a vacation. I want to quit my job. But all of their answers tends to go towards, I want a comfortable life. I want a nice house. I want my own space, and that's what I want. I want to be comfortable, and it's a good thing to be comfortable. Of course, that's not I'm not trying I want people to be uncomfortable. Of course, as a coach, I do try to trigger some my clients into some uncomfortable situations, because that's also something that will come in the later stages of our video. Is that triggers growth when you're in uncomfortable situations, because you have to adapt. But I'm just going back so I don't get too far ahead of myself. Comfortable or being comfortable is an ideal that many people tend to work towards, and that's what they want in life. But think about it a little bit. So what does it mean to be comfortable? And from my understanding, and you feel free to think about it as well and see if you agree or not, but from my understanding, comfort is a state of minimal pain. Is when when you are comfortable, you don't have any pains in your body, you don't have anything stressing you, you don't have anything nagging on your mind that you should be doing. You're just comfortable. You're in a beach somewhere sipping on your caipirinha, and that's what most people would describe as comfortable, a state with minimal pain. And what I want to emphasize here is that we often fall into this trap of trying to seek comfort, because no one likes to be in an uncomfortable situation. And that's true for, I think, everyone. Even people that are constantly putting themselves in uncomfortable situations, they still don't like it. They just learn to accept the uncomfortableness because they expect the payoff afterwards. But no one likes in the moment to be uncomfortable. But when we are seeking comfort, the problem with that is we are focusing on pain. We are focusing on everything around us. What causes me pain? How can I minimize it? How can I get rid of it? And how can I create this little bubble where there is no pain? But the focus, and you will see by the amount of times I've used this word, the focus in this entire process is pain. You're focusing on pain and moving away from it. You're focusing on something that you don't want, and you're moving away from it, trying to create then this bubble where you are comfortable, because then those things that cause you pain, they are absent. And it's a strategy. The problem, and this is where I will introduce then this magnetic analogy that I like to explain this, is imagine that you are going through life, or maybe you're a baby and you don't know anything, you're in a completely blank state, and you're just going through life, going through in whatever direction that you go, and you eat something and it causes you pain. And what do? You learn this thing causes pain, so let's try to stay away from it. You create fear. Maybe don't put my hand on the stove because that hurts. So now the stove, I'm afraid of the stove. And people build children when they have one of these first encounters with a painful experience, then they will create these strong fears towards it. And then you learn to stay away from it. And then you start going in the opposite direction. And you're going along, and eventually you eat something else that triggers pain in your life. And then you decide, let's not go in this direction, let's go in some other direction. I know there's pain in this direction, there's pain in that direction, so let's go in a third direction. And you start going, and as I said, pain is part of being a human. There's pain all around it, be physical or emotional. Some of it we can control, some of it is more random, but it will happen eventually. And eventually you trigger pain again, and you create that rule, then let's stay away from it. And as you start to experience and live your life, and of course some pains are more significant than others, but you start creating these fears of these things that caused you pain. And in that process, if what you're trying to seek is comfort, then what's going to happen is you are going to find the equilibrium point between all those fears that you have around you, all those things around you that cause you pain in the past and now you are afraid of. Then you will reach the equilibrium point where you minimize the pain and the fear from these situations. And if you think about it, and if I haven't already, I will put an image on screen right now, this is just how a magnetic force operates. Imagine that you are this little black dot, and all around you, these fear bubbles, these negative charges that I have on the screen, imagine that they are your fears. And what happens is that you are being repelled. You want to move away from them. And as more and more of these fears appear around you, because as you explore, as you live life, you encounter situations where you feel pain and you create these rules, then as you try to seek comfort, you are going to be repelled from this, be repelled from that, and eventually you find the point where you feel the minimum force and you feel the most comfort in that situation. But that can be a good thing. Yeah? We just figured out how to have the least pain. That's good. But just look at the image in the screen. And another term that people usually, when they talk about it, they use is the comfort zone. And I'm sure you've heard about it. Because in the end, what you just created for yourself is your comfort zone. All these fears around you, they are repelling you, and therefore the area where you can freely operate in is rather limited, and that's your comfort zone. And another way to look at it is you're stuck. You cannot move freely wherever you want. There's all this space you can potentially go, but look at how small the comfort zone, this equilibrium point is that you found for yourself. And that's how most people live their lives, because, once again, no one likes to feel uncomfortable. So people tend to stay in their comfort zones, and they don't challenge themselves, and they just accept that's how things are. And there's really also no problem with just living life that way. It's just you need to realize that you built this for yourself. You were the one that in the past you experienced pain and you created these fears. And through that process, you created this little bubble. There's no problem in staying there. You just need to realize that that's not how life is. That's the life that you created for yourself. And you can, since you created that for yourself, you can always change it. Of course, it's not easy, and it involves this degree of subjecting yourself to discomfort and pain, because there's only two ways to get out of this little bubble that you created for yourself. And that's really what I want to point at, is in a magnet there's always the positive side and there's the negative side. And if the fear is the negative repelling side, that has a repelling force, then there's the pleasure, it would be the positive in this magnetic analogy. There's the positive, the attractive force. And there's a story of a friend of mine that I know, and this is someone that, as I said, a lot of people say that what they want in life is comfort, and this friend of mine is one of them. And she really lives life trying to be as comfortable as possible. And she just currently put herself in a situation where she's coming into terms of this feeling of being stuck, because there's a few things that she would like to change, and she has this idea of there's a positive here, over here. And the problem is, and I'll just make sure that on the screen with my editing skills I'm following along with what I'm trying to describe, but the point is, this pleasure, this attractive force is outside of my comfort zone, and it's beyond this wall of fear that I have. And so she's intuitively knowing that if she goes to that place and she seeks this goal that she has, and she knows she would appreciate, she would feel better. But the problem is, it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of good things that she created in this little bubble that she would have to maybe get a little bit away from. And then she feels stuck in the sense that she doesn't see a way out, because she wants that, but she cannot get there because there's all these fears. And that's true. And it's unfortunate. And she just resigns herself to accepting that this is how things are. and I will not have it. The problem is, deep inside her, she still wants it. So there's this resentment, there's this conflict of, I'm staying here because it's comfortable and safe, but I still want it. But I cannot have it because that means living here, and that creates pain. But I still want it, and this inner conflict is always playing out. And yeah, it's unfortunately a friend that sometimes struggles with depression, and this conflict that originates within us, this feeling of lack of power and hopelessness, this is what depression is when you feel you cannot make change, there's no hope, you cannot do anything to change your situation. And that comes from this wanting to maximize comfort. So I hope you understood, but now a common question to ask is, so now what? What can I do about this? And there's really just two ways to get out of this comfort zone, of this equilibrium point, of this little bubble that you created for yourself. There's only two ways, and it goes really well with this magnetic analogy. That's why I like to use it. Either you have to remove the fears, so the negative charges, you have to remove them, so then you are not being repelled in that direction and you can go there. Or you have to create a positive charge, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, even if it lies beyond the fears. You have to create a big enough positive charge so that the attraction force, it's greater than the repulsion that you're feeling from your fear, so that you can break free. And that's really the only two ways. Most often than not, it's going to be a combination of the two. You're going to make the fears maybe a little bit smaller, and their force a little bit smaller. You're going to start creating a positive charge outside that starts pulling you there. The repulsion is now less and less and less and less, and eventually you get close to that really the edge, but eventually you break through. And that's when you really have a breakthrough, because then all those fears, they no longer influence you as much, because then you just move so far away that those fears that kept you stuck, now they barely influence you anymore because you are so far away. And I really like this analogy because I think it really explains very well this dynamic of what happens. And yeah, I really hope this was helpful. And just before we go, I really just want to ask you, just leave you with this question to ponder, which is, what ways are you holding back from life, or in life, because of fears? So let me rephrase that. What ways are you holding back in your life because of your fears, because of those negative charges? Just think about it. Just create that awareness, because as I said in my awareness video, awareness is that first step. First, you need to realize what's going on. Second, you need to accept it, and then, and only then, can you do something about it. And I hope this analogy was helpful. This short video was helpful. And let me know: was this something that that was useful? Was this something that maybe you never really thought about it in this way, and this helped you maybe crystallize a little bit more clear this concept of the comfort zone? And because we all hear about, yeah, you have to break free of your comfort zone, you have to move away, but sometimes that's very abstract and generic. I hope with this example and these images that I've provided you, it's a little bit clearer. I hope it was insightful for you. And yeah, once again, I will make this video a little bit shorter, so I'll cut it here. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you like the type of content I do, of course. Click the little notification bell to receive a message every time I upload a new video. Like this video, share it with a friend. And yeah, once again, this was Antonio for Unraveled Mind. And I will come back with future videos in the near future, hopefully. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.